Hi everyone, Bernard here with another citizen vlog, and it's a city past and it's a moments in time. Today we're going to look back at a certain date. I mean, these dates when players or managers join or leave or are sacked, they're always a bit open to debate, but they're always more or less spot on. And the date we're going to look back on today is 28th of August 1993. So as we're recording this in 2020, obviously 27 years ago. And the appointment of Brian Horton as manager of Manchester City after a little bit of turmoil, which was preceded it and obviously carried on after it. So that's the date we're looking at today, 28th of August 1993. Please, if you're new to the channel, push that subscribe button. Please tell your friends we do these city pasts and city presents, just a little bit of history, and obviously as City Now as well. So please tell your friends, and please make sure your notifications are set to public so you get to know about these little vlogs. Yeah, I mean, 1993-94. So obviously we started the season with Mr. Reid, Peter Reid in charge. Done okay. I mean, we've done all right in the league, sort of. There's a little bit of dissent, obviously, about the board, etc. Certain Mr. Swales. But we'd had the arrival of the funds. The funds had arrived to cheer us all up in mid-season, so that and hopes to bring Mr. Paul Stewart back into the fold as well from Spurs. That was always hinted at, etc., etc. The bad news was we'd lost the fight. I don't think it was a real fight. I don't think we had much chance to with the thing as it is, but we lost the fight to keep the Kipak standing. Obviously, there was various things put together to try and sort of put it off, but obviously with the legislation, etc., I don't think there was much option that it had to go. So obviously the City fans had lost the battle for the standing Kipaks. Peter Reid was in charge for our opening game, which was the 14th of August that season. Was a game against Leeds where Mr. Reid was in charge, and interestingly enough, Peter Swales relinquished control of team affairs, and a certain John Maddock steps into the hot seat. You know, from out of the frying pan into the fire, really, with Swales and Maddock, wasn't it? Unfortunately, defeats at Everton, Spurs, at home to Blackburn on the 24th of August, left City with 1 point, only 1 point from 4 games. In the Manchester Evening News, obviously, it was Peter Reid did his usual Reid comments in the MEN on the matches, and he actually said it was another bitterly disappointing display, this Blackburn game, 24th of August, and it is down to me to remedy the situation. Nope, he wasn't going to get the chance. He wasn't going to get a chance to do that, was he? He was, obviously, he and Sam Ellis were soon sacked. And of course, who do we have stepping into the breach for a game? Certainly one game anyway, was a Mr. Tony Buck, who took temporary charge. But obviously things off the pitch, the fans were disgruntled. There was a lot of trouble as we waited for a big name. We promised a big name manager. We were going to get a big name manager to sort of appease the fans. So obviously the fans didn't sort of stand around after the next game. There was riots after the match. I mean, they were trying to get into the ground, trying to break into that. You remember that famous the frontage at Main Road, the new Main Road, the new frontage main door. They were trying to break into that after a 1-1 draw with Coventry, with Mr. Buck in charge, and there was obviously mounted police, etc., etc., outside the ground. So surely a big name manager, would surely sort this out, would appease the fans, or give us hope for the future. Now Mr. Reid had gone. So there you go. It took us to our date, didn't it, really? It took us to the 28th of August 1993, when a certain Oxford United manager, ex-Oxford United manager now, obviously a bit disgruntled, the Oxford fans, that is leaving. You know, probably thought he was leaving for a smaller club or something, knowing Oxford, and the thoughts on City at the time, a City in crisis, obviously, at the time. So it was announced that Oxford United manager Brian Horton would be the man. Obviously, many asked who. I mean, there's even articles in the papers telling us a bit about him, so we knew about him. Obviously, we did have memories. I certainly had memories of him, and Luton Town back in the day, obviously as a player back for them in that those sad days in the 80s. So I sort of knew him from that, but not really much else. And obviously Paul Hintz writing in the MEN, Manchester Evening News, and just to quote from his article actually, he caught the mood around the club and the fans with this article in the MEN that he wrote. Can this really be the man to rescue the Blues? City shunned the big names to back the quiet outsider from Oxford United. Yeah, so Paul Hintz wrote, just quoting from Mr. Hintz, John Maddock is in no doubt that he has found a manager who will bring back the glory days to Main Road. The Blues fans were expecting Peter Reid's successor to be a high-profile manager in the Terry Venables mould with a proven track record in the top flight. Instead, the choice of City's new Supremo turned out to be 44-year-old Brian Horton, the one-time Brighton skipper, whose 9 years in soccer management have been spent in the quiet backwaters at Hull City and Oxford United. I have monitored Brian's career for the past 20 years, going back to his days as a player at Port Vale, says the Blues' new Supremo. He did a terrific job as player-manager at Hull City and an even better one at Oxford United. Brian has been forced to buy and sell wisely during his spell with Oxford. This is his forte and he has saved the club against all odds. Now he's agreed to join us. I think you will see a very different atmosphere around Main Road inside a couple of months. Maddock admits that the Blues were tempted to go for a big-name manager to replace Reid, who was dismissed only 48 hours ago after 32 months in charge at City. We had a lot of applications and there were some very attractive names amongst them, adds Maddox. Yeah, I'm sure there was, mate. But we didn't want to enter into any protracted negotiations. We wanted a new manager installed as quickly as possible. In the past, the search for a new manager has dragged on with people saying they will accept the appointment and then changing their minds. I wonder why. I knew that if I could obtain permission from Oxford Board to offer the job to Brian, he would accept immediately. The bottom line is that I'm convinced that Brian Horton is the best man to put Manchester City back where they belong. Horton, bearded and quietly spoken, will bring his assistant at Oxford, David Moss, along with him to Main Road when he takes up his duties. The new Blues team boss, who will sign a 3-year contract this weekend, admits he was taken aback when he received the offer to manage City on Thursday. The first I knew of it was when one of the Oxford directors told me that Manchester City had made an approach. So does that imply he didn't actually apply for it? He says, I was informed that the Oxford didn't want me to leave, but that they would not stand in my way of joining a Premiership club. Within 5 minutes, John Maddock came on the telephone. I didn't really have to think twice before accepting his offer. This is one of the biggest jobs in English soccer, and there was no chance that I was going to miss out on an opportunity like this. And a little subheading here on the image, the new Blue Messiah, a thoughtful Brian Horton surveys the Main Road scene as he prepares to take over the reins for the toughest challenge of his football career. Well, there you go. That was our moments in time. And on the pitch, well, you know, he's sort of worked wonders, didn't he? I mean, we certainly won the first game with him in charge away at Swindon, so he certainly steadied the ship. And on the pitch, he didn't do such a bad job, did he, initially there? Off the pitch, obviously, Swales, Francis Lee, Maddock. I mean, that might be a moment in time to come on these guys, but they would all be at the forefront for a little while yet, as far as City were concerned and the football world in general. But yeah, I mean, obviously, thanks for joining me for this little moments in time, the 28th of August, 1993, the day Brian Horton was appointed the new City manager. Thanks for that. Right, please, what are we going to do the rest of the day? Have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your family. More importantly, let's all look after each other. And hopefully you'll join me again for another Citizen Past or Present very, very soon. It's Bird saying goodbye for now. Stay safe, Blues. Bye-bye.